let's keep on talking about temp music. It will be the second part of the previous episode about temp music and how we can use it creatively. Once more, I will share another example. And the conclusion I took from this, that I would like to share, is, again, what should we take from temp music? Again, to recap, temp music is the temporary music that the editor, director, and the rest of the crew use in the first cut of the movie to also check what's working, what's not, and also communicate with the composer to give them an idea what they would like to happen at certain point. In this particular scene, it was a childhood memory of Viktoria, the main character of this movie, the Masuren thriller, and her very pleasant childhood memory with her uncle, who disappeared, and she went down to this town to look for. So there was this very uplifting, beautiful track in a way. It was the instrumentation was very particular there. And what I've noticed and learned along the way is how much effort and time the editor and the director put into placing the parts where they appeared. That when this shot happens, something like this happens. When the camera moves to a wider shots and you see nature and uplifting images, something else happens. So I learned to pay attention to those moments of transition and how they should feel, or the exchange that happens at that moment, rather than exactly the instruments that are there, or the type of melody, or the type of orchestration, or even the genre. And try to respect mainly that and give myself the freedom to go wild with all the other elements. Let's have a quick listen and then we'll break it through and I will point you to the moments. All right, so let me drag it down here. So I broke down the temp track into this. The temp music was started with the very mellow piano chords. Then at certain point something happened there. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was a clarinet or some string or some woodwind instrument. I decided to call it strings, something high. Then there was something happening in the picture, and I felt a very violent cut in the music. It means that the editor really looked for another part in the same track or in a different track and placed it exactly there to signal me that something needs to happen here. Then at a certain point there was a change. It means everything stayed the same, but the harmony moved somewhere else or created some different feeling. And at a certain point there was even more drama. I called it police. And something even more ecstatic came even though you see something negative through. So it was a sign, even that you see something bad, keep on the good vibes. So that's what I took from the temp music, rather than, you know, the genre, the instrumentation, the melodies, or even the feeling. Yeah, it was uplifting in a way, but I took it way farther in that matter, allowed myself. Let's break it down. So what we have here, this time I did use some kind of sample-based orchestra. Let's break it, let's hear the orchestra part separately. So those immediately sounded too thin to me, so I doubled them with a little pad here, just to give them some warmth. Here there was movement, so in the temp track. So I kept moving it, started a certain movement, some rhythmic element going on. It stayed static for a while, so I kept it static for a while, till this moment here. More movement, more things joining along. You can hear the horns. Can you feel the horns more? Let's break it down a little bit. So we have those guys who are just holding longer notes. This is our moving element. The basses and the horns. Very simple and basic. The piano, that pretty much rolls all the way through, starts from those. This lift moment, I move to those type of chords. Once again, to give some character to the orchestra, I have very minimal one cello double to the whole thing. You can see also 2 channels per cello, a ribbon and a condenser. Long notes, single strokes. Here it supports the whole thing. That's without the cellos. That's with. So even though they sound very, very, very mellow, you barely notice them, they do add a lot. The next stage for me was, okay, to connect it to the soundtrack. We had some guitars going on. We had this particular main theme sound, our Western guitar, Tarantino guitar sound. So I first add one guitar that supports these spiccato violas. Again, if you can hear this very Western reverbish guitar that we're going to talk about how we made it. Our old mandolin friend that again just adds some dynamic. And towards the end we had the even more signature, these open chords all together. And last thing, towards the end where we had this change and lift, the cello, the real cello, kind of joined the violins playing this high melody. Let's solo them too. You can hear the cello sticking out once in a while. This melody that sounds a little bit mechanic. That ends the sequence. All right, so what I would take from that is analyze your temp music, and it's a way, hello? Analyze your temp music, try to understand what the editor and the director were trying to communicate to you. Keep in mind that they worked hard to put it there. And notice the moments when there is something as a filler, or there's something that somebody really tried to cut, and look for something that, you know, moving to play double time, or something high or something low is happening inside, or a change in mood, and just recreate this change rather than really try to copy it literally. And be creative with your temp music. That's part of our job. Thank you very much. Hope you had valuable time. See you next time.